The more you value yourself, the healthier your boundaries are. Relational. Welcome to Self-Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Thank you for being here. As we continue with the practice of building your foundation of self, I thought we'd talk today about one of the first external applications of your newfound tools of non-judgment, awareness, and gentleness. You've been applying these concepts to your inner work and how you personally interact with your world. Now, let's look at how they show up as we interact with others. So today, we're talking about boundaries, and perhaps most importantly, about what boundaries are not. Before we get into it, I want to share the boundaries mantra that I use with my clients and students. My boundaries benefit both of us. That's it. That simple sentence changes everything. We commonly understand boundaries as a line drawn in the sand. You stay on that side and I stay on this side, protecting my energy. Now, some of this is true, but we're not creating a wall to keep out the other person. If we wanted to do that, we wouldn't need a boundary at all. We would just cut them off. A boundary is actually a means to a better relationship with the other person or people. When we truly understand that boundaries are an act of compassion, not rejection, we begin to see them as bridges, not walls. They help us stay connected while staying true to ourselves. Let's start with the basics. What is a boundary? A boundary is a clear line where you end and someone else begins, emotionally, mentally, energetically, and sometimes physically. It's not a fortress meant to keep people out. It's more like a garden fence, a way to protect the space where you can grow. Boundaries are acts of self-respect, yes, but they're also of relational respect. Because when I know where I stand, I can meet you more honestly, more wholly, and with less resentment. So, as we talk about this, remember the mantra, my boundaries benefit both of us. So what happens when we don't have a boundary? When we fail to set boundaries, a few things start to happen. We overextend ourselves. We people please. We ignore our own needs until we feel depleted, and then we might build walls instead of fences. Walls say, I can't deal with you. Boundaries say, here's how we can be in relationship safely. One isolates, the other integrates. When do we need a boundary? Well, if you've ever felt drained after a conversation, resentful about saying yes when you wanted to say no, anxious about somebody else's emotional state, or guilty for taking care of yourself, then it's likely your inner self is whispering, we need a boundary here. Boundaries are the soul's way of saying, I'm ready to live in alignment with my truth. I'm ready to live in my full foundation of self. So how does this benefit the other person? By creating a boundary, you're protecting them from your anger, your resentment, your passive aggression. Understanding that, this is where the inner work really begins to deepen. As we begin to set boundaries, the underdeveloped ego, or what we have called the small s self, may panic. It may start saying things like, you're being selfish, that person is not going to like you, or even they'll leave you if you speak up. Or, this is how we've done things forever, you can't change the rules now. But these are fear voices. The small s self wants to keep us safe, but it often confuses comfort with safety. So here's where we pause and we listen to the highest self. The highest self speaks with calm authority. It says it's safe to honor your needs. When you care for yourself, your relationships are healthier. Boundaries are an act of compassion. When we consult the highest self, our boundaries then transform from fear-based defenses, right, that wall that goes up, that line in the sand, into expressions of clarity and compassion. Instead, it says, I want a better relationship with you. Therefore, this is what I need in this situation. So here's how to build a healthy boundary. There are 3 steps you can start practicing right now. First, identify what feels off. There's your awareness, right? We're bringing in awareness. Something doesn't feel right. Where are you overgiving or feeling resentful? That's your signal. Where is your energy draining out? Something feels off. Awareness. Make sure that you choose the right time and state your need with clarity and kindness, gentleness, compassion. For example, I'd love to talk about this tomorrow morning when I have more energy, right? That's a lovely boundary, especially if you're in an argument with somebody, a partner or a friend or a parent or a child or even a colleague. Let's talk about this tomorrow when I have more energy or I can really focus. Yeah. The third one is to hold that boundary consistently. I can't tell you how many times people complain that their boundaries are being crossed, but don't realize they are letting them be crossed. So we don't hold the boundary consistently and rigidly, but responsibly. It's not about controlling. It's about stewardship of your own energy, right? It's a protection, but it's not a shutting out. So each time you hold a boundary, keep reminding yourself, my boundaries benefit both of us, right? I'm protecting this person from my anger by holding this boundary. I'm giving them a gift by having this boundary. Now, let's be fair. No matter how clear we are in stating a boundary, there will be times when the other person doesn't honor them. It's just, we're human. It happens. So here's a guide to help you navigate those times when your boundaries are crossed. The first time it happens, a great action is a gentle reminder. So what would that sound like? Hey, you might not remember, but I told you X, whatever your boundary is. Insert that there. Or, hey, remember when I mentioned so-and-so, So in our example of somebody wants to have a heavy conversation and you've lost all your energy and you'd like to table it for tomorrow and you're drawing that boundary in the moment, and let's say the person just keeps talking at you, you say, hey, remember I just told you that I need to table this for a day because I need to relax a little bit. I need my energy back so that I can be fully present with you, right? Okay, so the second time it happens, that calls for a firm reminder. This is the second time I've reminded you that X, insert your boundary. Or are you aware that you, whatever the boundary crossing is, are doing that thing again, even though I've told you I don't like that, right? Let's say someone calls you every morning at 7 a.m., right? And you need to sleep in. I've told you that doesn't work for me. And are you aware that you did it again? This is a great opportunity for radical honesty. Radical honesty means stating something that is obvious to you, but that the other person might not be aware of. So when we're talking about boundaries, that usually means naming the benefit that the other person receives, or even sharing your feelings about the situation. So, for example, I'd like to talk tomorrow when I have more energy. Otherwise, I won't really be able to listen to you the way I'd like to. Do you see how loving that is? You're telling them what the benefit is. You're explaining how you feel. You're not necessarily justifying or asking for permission for your boundary, but you're laying it out very clearly that I'm doing this for us. I won't be able to hear you properly because I'm too tired and I need a rest first. Okay, so that's the second time. The third time, if your boundary is crossed, The action might be to consider space from or even end the relationship. And that might sound like, if you can't honor my request, I won't be able to spend time with you, or something like that, depending on what the boundary is. So we've talked about the benefits of boundaries and really kind of focused on how the other person benefits. But when you practice boundaries with compassion, you'll notice profound changes. You're going to feel lighter, freer, more grounded. You'll notice your relationships become more balanced and, surprisingly, more intimate, bring you closer together. You'll gain confidence in your voice and your choices. You live more authentically and more aligned with your purpose. That's the whole point of this foundation of self-work. Boundaries are not there to cut us off from love from other people. They make love sustainable. Now, I hear my people pleasers out there complaining. So I want to talk a little bit about that aspect of, one of the reasons people don't create or maintain boundaries is because they're afraid of hurting someone else. So I invite you to think about the most gentle, loving person in life or mythology that you can think of. I'll share with you who comes to mind for me. Jesus Christ. So we know Jesus Christ as the embodiment of compassion and love. But he had boundaries too. He warns the money changers and the dove sellers that they are not welcome to do business on the temple grounds because it's disrespectful to the sacredness of the place. But as humans are wont to do, they kept on doing their business, disregarding Jesus' boundary. In the New Testament, Matthew 21:12, the segment is entitled, Jesus Cleanses the Temple. I'll read it to you. Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. That's the New International Version, so in case anyone wants to look that up. But can you see this image in your mind? Our gentle Jesus in an absolute rage, flipping tables and sending coins scattering and doves flying free. This is a lesson that being deeply compassionate doesn't mean being a doormat. Your boundaries matter. Feel better? Okay, so as you move through your week or month, I invite you to notice where you might need to set or reinforce a loving boundary. And remember to listen to your highest self. That voice always leads you toward wholeness, not isolation. My boundaries benefit both of us. Remember, healthy boundaries are not walls. They're doorways to loving connection. If this conversation resonates with you, please do join us for Write Yourself Open, my twice-monthly community for self-seekers and creatives doing this kind of deep inner work as their life path. We meet every second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can learn more at www.writeyourselfopen.com. And if you'd like to explore working with me one-on-one, you can visit www.foundationofself.com. I'll add the links to the show notes. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Hi, this is Rachel Astarte from the Self-Talk podcast. I'd love for you to send me your emails with questions or stories about yourself. What are you looking for? What are your questions? What are you grappling with in your own personal life that has to do with your identity, with yourself, with your very existence? These are the things that we're going to talk about during the podcast. And go ahead. It's all right. Get deep. I can handle it. So send them to Rachel@selftalkpodcast.com. And I'll see you on the next episode.